Welcome, teachers, to Peip Xp. Tonight's session focuses on Flipgrid. We are so excited that you can join us tonight. Thank you for being here. And before we get started, we want to receive some warm words of welcome from the Director of Professional Learning at the Office of Professional Learning and Leadership, Dr. Christy Holden.
Good afternoon, everyone. I see at the pause, I'm like, are we still in the morning? No, good afternoon and welcome, welcome, welcome. I see somebody was from the Dominican Republic. Did I see that in the chat? So welcome to everyone, to all of our mentees. Today we are adding to your toolbox, and today we are flipping the grid. So let's learn about this flip the grid thing, this Flipgrid stuff. And I'm glad that you had an opportunity to meet with your mentees and just have this small time to just connect with one another and to learn from each other. And I'm going to turn it over so that you can have full maximum time to work on flipping the grid. I know that's not what it's called, but I just like saying it that way. It makes me feel like I know what I'm talking about. Flipgrid. Okay. Turning it over to you all.
You have full permission to say whatever you like, and I'm actually a fan of flipping the grid. Thank you. So meet our Peip Xp team. We are all mentor teachers with the wonderful Office of Professional Learning and Leadership. And you see all of us on your screen. Give them a wave. Miss Betsy Braddock, Miss Coylin Ham, and Colleen Eccles, Shanine Brooks. And we have a special guest with us tonight who is also a mentor teacher, Miss Tracy Brown. I call her the Flipgrid Master because she knows all kind of little tips, tools, techniques, and tricks that she's going to help you learn tonight. And last but certainly not least, I am Katrika Neal. Long day, y'all. Okay, so our objectives for tonight: participants will connect. We're going to have you connect with your fellow colleagues using Flipgrid. We're also going to explore by navigating a Flipgrid video and how to use the platform. And lastly, we will apply learning for your classroom in breakout sessions that are particularly geared towards your grade levels. The FFT connections are 3B, using question and discussion techniques, 3C, engaging students in learning, and 3D, using assessment in instruction. And our agenda tonight, we are going to connect by getting to know one another, exploring Flipgrid and its features and how to use it, and then applying in our breakout rooms to learn more and discuss the applications of Flipgrid.
Hey everybody, I'm so happy to be here and just wanted to say hi. Hope you all are awake and ready to flip for Flipgrid. We're going to start off with our connect, and you guys can kind of go to the next slide. That'd be great. So we're going to start off by jumping in feet first. No hold bar, no questions. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to be able to answer questions. We want you to actually start off by creating your very own Flipgrid. It's kind of giving you an opportunity to see what it will look like from the student perspective. And by being that student, it will also allow you to kind of see the anxiety that they may have and any questions that will come up right away that you would ask yourself. You know what I mean? You'll be able to see exactly what your students would be experiencing. So what we want you to do is you can click on this green Flipgrid button, or you can go to flipgrid.com, or if you have a completely different device like a phone or an iPad or a tablet, you can scan the QR code. Once you get into flipgrid.com, you're going to enter this code at the top, EDBA4312, and that's going to take you to the very first Flipgrid assignment that we would like you to participate in. And so I'm going to ask that thank you. She's taking us through the steps so you can see what you're going to see. If you watch with me, it'll make sense when you do it on your other device. Our first Flipgrid assignment, where we're kind of getting your feet wet right away, is Would You Rather? This is exactly what you will see after you've entered that code that we said. And if you can't remember the code, it is right here up in the corner. And somebody also wonderfully put it into the chat. They are awesome. It's like they can read my mind. I like it. So we're going to ask you just to answer that question. Would you rather? And if you don't want to answer all of them, that is fine with me. You can pick just one. But would you rather be a unicorn or a genie? Would you rather be a dancer or a singer? Me. Singer for me. Would you rather be a famous artist or a famous author? Would you rather eat donuts or watermelon? That one's tough. I don't know. Would you rather ride a scooter or ride a bike? And just choose one. You're going to click this red record a response button. Camera's going to come on. Start talking. We're going to give you some quiet space. My voice is not in the background of all of your videos. As Betsy just demonstrated, you do have to kind of use your PG County login to get to the videos. She's already getting ready to record hers. And we're going to give you about 2 to 3 minutes of quiet time so you don't hear my annoying voice in the back of everybody's video.
Thank you, Corey.
And actually, that is our 3-minute time. Perfect timing. Thank you, Ms. Neal. We have several responses. I like that some of you all asked some questions because I wanted you to really and truly understand what it would be like from the student perspective. If you're on one computer and your child or your student is on another device trying to do it at the same time, you experience some of the exact same things that they would experience. But for the most part, the platform is very user-friendly. So if you had some difficulties getting logged in or downloading it because you were using a phone, those are things that we can brainstorm and fix ahead of time. But let's look at a couple of the different responses that we have just to see what it would look like when we play our recordings. So Betsy, you can choose whomever you would like, or would anybody like to volunteer?
You can play mine. That's fine.
Who's that? Who said that?
Seth. My name's Seth. I'd rather find a unicorn than a genie. I'd rather be a dancer than a singer. I'd rather be a famous author than an artist. I would like to eat donuts instead of watermelon, and I would rather ride a bike than a scooter.
Thank you. One more maybe? Or are we good on time? Show one more?
Yes, can you play Alexis?
I would rather eat donuts than watermelon.
Yeah, you can play mine, Tracy.
Hi, my name is Katrika Neal, and I would prefer being a genie. I like making sure people are happy, and I want to grant them wishes, 3 of them, and then move on.
I ran out of time, but I'm sure you all know I said I'll grant you 3 and then move on to the next person and make them happy, right?
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so that was just a quick taste of Flipgrid. I know that some of you all are rising users and some of you all are frequent users, and that's okay. We're going to explore a little bit further as we go on in this presentation. And that's where we are actually right now. We're in the Explore section.
Thank you, Tracy. That was really fun. Thank you all for diving in and exploring with Flipgrid with us. Let's take a deeper dive and learn about some of the features and appeals of Flipgrid. So what is Flipgrid? Well, you guys just got a deep dive into it, but let's take a moment and pause and watch this promotional video made by Flipgrid, the corporation, to see why they created this and what are some applications for educators.
Welcome to Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a simple, free, and accessible video discussion experience for pre-K to PhD educators, learners, and families. In Flipgrid, educators post discussion prompts and learners respond with short videos. To get started, go to flipgrid.com and click Educator Sign Up to create a free Flipgrid account with Microsoft or Google. Once you've signed up, start the discussion by creating your first topic. Your topic can reflect on a chapter of reading, demonstrate an exercise routine, share a hypothesis, anything. I'll make this as simple as share one of your favorite discoveries. Add anything you want your learners to review prior to responding, such as links and videos, to foster enriching inquiry. You can also set the maximum recording time and choose to moderate your topic, meaning video responses will be hidden from your community until you approve them. Your topic is private to your learning community. Add the email domain of your learners, that's everything after the @ symbol in their email, or create a student list for younger learners. Add a guest password if you want to invite families or experts into your discussion. When you're ready, share with your learning community. All they need is this unique code. They can enter the code on the free Flipgrid app or on any computer with a webcam via the Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome browser at flipgrid.com. You can also copy and share this Flipgrid join link wherever you connect with your community, including Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, and Remind. After clicking the unique link or entering the code, your learners will log in either with their Microsoft or Google account or the ID you created for them. Once in, they can see your prompt, access the text with the powerful immersive reader, and when they're ready, click record to add a video with the simple, fun, social media style Flipgrid camera. Share these steps with your community by sharing the Getting Started Students video.
Thanks. That was a lot of information in a very short amount of time, but hopefully you were able to look at that video through your lens of the grade you teach or the age group you teach or the content you teach to try to see how you could use this in your classroom. So let's talk a little bit more about the how and the why about Flipgrid. So Flipgrid is a student reflection tool. The teacher would post a prompt and the students would reply using that video response format. It can serve as a quick assessment of your learning. It's an instructional modification for SPED and or ELL students. So I saw in the chat that some people, when we were doing a roll call in the very beginning, some people mentioned they were a reading teacher that also served an ESOL population of English language learners. This is a fantastic way to focus on those speaking goals. And I saw there was an Italian teacher. This is an awesome way to hear students' enunciation of verb tenses or vocabulary words for that speaking portion. It's a way that we can engage students in learning. And what I mean when I say that is that sometimes when we ask a question and we rely on the chat, we're only getting an incomplete picture. Or if we allow students to unmute themselves, it's always like 1 or 2 students who are unmuting themselves to speak. It doesn't promote that equity of voice. So with Flipgrid, every single student responds to that prompt. And the last thing, allowing students voice and choice. Student voice is central to their efficacy, to their self-determination. We have to let them have their voice be heard. That's something that is hard to achieve in this virtual environment. Flipgrid brings that to us by allowing students to hear each other's voices. And in terms of choice, you can give choice on the prompt, or there's so much choice just even within that social media style camera. It almost is like a TikTok for schools. I've heard that comparison happen before, that they can add their own filters. They can record as many times as they want until they're comfortable with their recording, and only then do they press submit. So that's helpful for students who are still practicing with their English or might want to re-record a presentation for social studies or re-record a science experiment conclusion for science. If they feel a little camera shy, they need a few takes before they feel confident. Awesome, Flipgrid allows that. And then once they press submit, you only see their final copy too. I also noticed that educator tool where the educator is allowed to approve posts before they're public to the community. That's helpful as well if you serve a population of learners where you think that's best in terms of security. So Flipgrid gives us all of these options for instruction, for student voice, student choice, and meeting learning goals of our students, no matter where they come to us.
So it sounds like we have some experienced users just based off of our chat and all those great things that Colleen shared with us. So I just would like if you could take a moment. We're going to get to practice and apply what we've been learning so far, but kind of think about if you've already used Flipgrid, tell me maybe in the chat something you've done with Flipgrid to help meet the needs of your students, maybe an activity you've done with them, or if you want to post in there a way already you're kind of starting to think about how you're going to do it. As you're adding that in, just to let you know, we're going to get a chance here in a moment, and we're going to get to go to breakout rooms, and we're going to share with you what's going to occur in those breakout rooms. And then just to also let you know what's going to come up. After that, we're going to get together and talk about any aha experiences that we had in our small groups. Oh, thank you, Alexis. I see that she uses it for celebrations. Some people Using it for social studies. Ooh, practicing speaking Italian in class. Sight singing in music theory class. Interesting. So I'm sure you're all going to come up with some great ways, especially if you haven't used it before, that you're going to use it in your classroom. I'm excited about that. So what we're going to do now is we are going to get ready to go into breakout rooms, and we're going to break out into 2 different rooms. If you're a rising user, that's going to be more about if you are just getting started with Flipgrid, maybe you don't have an account yet and you need to set it up. You want to learn how to attach different things to it, documents, videos, and then how to share that Flipgrid with your audience. That's going to kind of be the rising user. And then the other one is going to be the frequent user. And then Tracy, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're going to cover in that session?
Yes, we will be discussing some of the different aspects of Flipgrid, such as making a mixtape or a short, and using some of the different tools that have already been created by other teachers across the country, and being able to access some of the different flips so that you don't have to make things up from scratch.
So in a moment, we're going to be moving to these breakout rooms. Yeah, we're going to go to flipgrid.com and either log ourselves in or come over to the educator sign up. It's going to ask if you want to sign up with Google or Microsoft. We're going to go ahead and sign up with Google because we want to sign up with our PGCPS email account. Now, I already have an account, so it's going to maybe show me some different windows than it might show you. I'm going to talk you through, though, how to set it up using if you have never before. So you're going to add your personal information, or if it comes up like this and ask you, hey, is there a Google account you want to use? Then you're going to go ahead and choose your Google account. Now this is where it's going to get different. It's going to automatically log me in because I already have an account. If you're setting yours up, you need to name your first grid. I named my first grid in Mentoring Moments. You may just want to name yours Ms. or Mr. and your last name's class. You may want to call it 7th grade math, Italian 1, kindergarten, mod 2, whatever it might be. And then I want to ask you for grid type. Please make sure you choose your school email. It should pop up another prompt, and it's going to ask you to ensure pgcps.org is listed under the email domain. If you think that you are in the wrong room, you can make sure that you click down at the bottom where it's at the breakout rooms and ask to leave this breakout and go back to the main room, and they'll be able to place you in the correct one. So if you're on the page where it's asking you to create a group, that's the same thing. Like I said, I call mine Mentoring Moments. You may want to call yours Mrs. Pador's class or 7th grade math mod 2. There shouldn't be a code yet because you're not coming into mine. We're going to go ahead and log in either to create your own account or if you've not had account yet. So again, I'm going to also try to put the steps into the chat here. Miss Seymour, on the first one, you have to choose your entire PGCPS email address. On the final prompt, you have to just ensure that pgcps.org is listed under the email domain, not your full PGCPS. That just means that anyone with a PGCPS account will be able to access. So your students, yourself, any co-teachers you might have. So again, you're going to go to flipgrid.com. You're going to either choose educator login if you already have one, or educator sign up. Choose to log in with your PGCPS account. You need to name your grid. Again, some examples I gave was your Ms. or Mr. and your last name's class, mod 3 English, whatever you want to name your grid, because you get to name, you can create multiple grids. And so it's not the topic that you're going to cover per se in your first Flipgrid. This is the overarching folder that all of your Flipgrids are going to go into. And you can add multiples to it, but just make sure you name one to start with. And then for grid type, you want to choose your school email. If it did not populate, then you need to type in your full PGCPS email account. Cortez Brooks, it should be set to private. Once you've chosen your school email, the next prompt is going to be asking whether it's going to give you the option of choosing email domains like gmail.com or outlook.com. Please make sure that pgcps.org is what you've listed under that email domain, and only that, so that only PGCPS students and employees can access your grid. Now, that doesn't mean they can access it at any time. It just means if you supply them with the code or the link that they'll be able to access it. Okay. So again, I've listed the steps in the chat here for you as well. If that was too fast for you, please remember that this is being recorded, and very shortly after these sessions, we send you the link with the recordings in it, so you can go ahead and make sure you follow those steps. But I'm going to move on to the next step. So again, I named my grid Mentoring Moments because I was going to use it with my mentees. And then yours right now, if this is the first time and you've never used Flipgrid, it may say topics and there's nothing here. I've already created 6 different Flipgrids. So how I get started is I come over here to the blue add a topic. And this is where I'm going to add my very first Flipgrid activity. So as you can see, there are little asterisks on the things that I'm required. So I'm required to give this a title. And then in the prompt, that's where I'm going to give the directions to my students, what it is that I want them to do. So please share with me in a short video how your Wednesday went. It could be, you could put the Italian phrases in there that you would like them to say. Please practice saying these in a video. It could be a math problem that you want them to solve. It could be just an SEL, social and emotional learning activity, a check-in. Tell me what you learned from today's lesson, whatever it might be. But this is where you put in your prompt. And you'll notice that in Tracy, she had those great emojis next to it. If you double click, you can put emojis and symbols into your prompt. So if I want to put a smiley face in, I can add that into my actual prompt portion. But let's say I want them to watch a video and respond to it. So one of the great things that I noticed is that a teacher recorded a science lesson. It was for a pre-K class. So they pre-recorded it in Flipgrid and uploaded and just recorded a video here in Flipgrid. I can click here and I can record the video using Flipgrid, right? And then that goes in the prompt portion, or it asks the students, please watch the video and respond. I can also go here and just choose if I created it in something else like Screencastify. and I want to upload it here. I can go ahead and upload it off of my computer. Maybe there's a YouTube video I want them to watch. I can go ahead and add a YouTube video or a Vimeo link here. Maybe just want to add a picture. So I can drop an image or click to browse. And I can browsing on my computer. And now it's frozen. Or I liked that I could add a GIF, and then I can just search for the term. Again, making sure that we're using appropriate images and videos for our students.
You gotta choose Wednesday dancing from there. You go.
Okay. So I know that Colleen had talked about in the explore portion about being able to set moderations. So if it's the first time that you're ever using Flipgrid with your students, you may want to click on topic moderation. And what that does is it sends you the video first as the teacher or the creator of the Flipgrid before you allow students to be able to see it. Also important is the recording time. I can set it anywhere from they can give me a 15-second video all the way up to 10 minutes. And the other thing that I would caution, especially again, if it's the first time you're doing this with your students, is over here in the video and text comments. This is allowing your students to respond to each other. Now, you know your population best, probably better than most people. So if you don't want your students to be able to comment, whether it be using video or text, you just want them to be able to see each other and not comment, then you would move this to none. If you want them to only be able to leave text comments to each other, or you want them to be able to leave video comments to each other, you can also enable that. Depends on what purpose you're setting it for. And then I'm just going to click here on this more options over on the left-hand side because I want to talk about a couple other things. I want to talk about if you want to add an attachment, you can add up to 9 Google Docs to a topic. I don't know if I'd ever add all 9, but maybe this is where you want to drop the text from a story. And then in your prompt, you ask them to read the story and give a reaction as their Flipgrid video. Maybe this is where you put the math problems you want them to solve. And then in their prompt part, you say, hey, explain how you solve problem number 3. Maybe this is
5 more minutes, Betsy, I'm sorry.
Okay, thanks. Maybe this is where you want to put in a picture of a painting because you want students to then be able to analyze it in their Flipgrid video. So this is just kind of where you would add any other attachments that you want that you already have in your Google Docs. And then I'm scrolling all the way down here to the bottom to the video features. I don't know if you noticed when we showed Seth's video, he had all the border around him. He had all the words that he had written. You have to enable those features for your students if you would like them to use that. So this is allowing them to add images and video to filters and stickers to their videos. The likes portion, we often just use this. I don't usually allow students to like each other's video. Sometimes it becomes a popularity contest or a way in which to cyberbully. So I usually leave this links off like it is. And then I'm going to go ahead and create my topic. Okay, so when my topic is ready, I have a multitude of ways in which I can share it. I can just copy the link and put it into my Google Classroom, drop it in my Zoom chat, however that way. This last part is also the code. So if I just want to send kids to flipgrid.com and give them the code instead, I can also send it that way, or I can link it directly to my Google Classroom. Or share on Remind. So if I need to remind parents that, hey, your students have this due, I can share it on there. So Ms. Williams, I see that you said you got lost somewhere. You don't see underneath your discussion. So make sure you're underneath discussion here when you've logged in.
Right.
And then over here where it says add a topic. Thank you, everyone. So here is the activity, and this is how your students would see it. How is Wednesday? Please share with me in a short video how your Wednesday went. And then when you all went to the recorder response, some of the great features that your students can do is, let's say they don't want to share their background. They don't want to share their video. They don't want people to know who they are. Well, not that they don't know who they are, but they don't want them to see maybe the situation that they're living in, right? So I can change it to mic only, and it will only record my voice without my picture. So that's one way. Or I can come over here to where it says effects, and I can add these lovely filters. One I like to do sometimes is add the blurred vision so nobody knows who I am. I'm all in secret over here. Or if you've ever wanted to see what you look like in Legos, that's what I look like in Legos. Or maybe I don't want to filter. I can go back here to effects. I can add frames. Like I said, that's what Seth had when he had his video there. Maybe I want to do a breaking news story. I can add an emoji, and I can make it big enough that it covers my face. Maybe. Again, all ways that I can make it so that people will not see. And then the only last thing I wanted to show you real quick, let's say you have a co-teacher. If you noticed up here at the top, when you were in your grid, remember each of these is a topic into itself. So each of these you can assign to a different class, but I can add co-pilots. So I can add anyone in PGCPS and invite them to be a co-pilot in my class. So that's great if you have an ESOL teacher or a special ed teacher that works with you. Again, I can make a different grid. So let's say I wanted to duplicate this group, but I want to make it for my Mod 2 class. I can duplicate the group, and I can also come down here and change the name of it. And I can also come down here and duplicate a topic. So that's also great.
So let's talk about some of the advanced features. We know that the discussion board is generally like the dashboard. This is where you're going to see all the flips that you've made. You can see some of the ones that I've made, and they're divided into two sections. It's either groups or topics, right? So the groups are just that, like groups of different, maybe if you teach multiple subjects, let's pretend as if you're a social studies and a reading teacher. So you might have a social studies group or a reading group. And then the topics would be specific subjects or again, specific topics under each group. So again, if I'm a social studies teacher, I may have a topic as the American Revolution under the group of social studies. Does that make sense?
Right, so you create them though, like you essentially organize it the way you want it to be organized. I see a button there.
Yes, you create it and you create a group, but if you go up here to topics, you can also, once you're in your particular group, you can choose to also add different topics. And as you can see, I have a plethora of different topics. Did you understand what I meant by the difference between the topics and the groups? Okay, great. All right, then we can move over. Hey, Miss Okoya, it's nice to see you. Thank you for coming. We have the discovery section. This is what I was talking about when I was kind of giving a brief idea of what would happen in the frequent user. I love this button. I love this one because I can go up here and type in a topic, because this is my cheat, and anything that I might want to, give me a topic. Somebody throw out a topic that you might want to hear a flip on.
Bananas.
Bananas. I heard bananas first, and we'll catch you next one, Miss Queen. So we'll say bananas. Bananas. I was a cheerleader. So there we go. And we will see what they have. If it comes up with anything, there's banana jokes, apples and bananas, and a list of different, of course, you could filter it a little bit more if you were a high school teacher or elementary school teacher. And you could also filter it according to subject areas and then the grade levels.
So can you add yours to this essentially? Is this pulling from anyone that's willing to share it to the?
Exactly. And then very good question. And so you can add actually in the discovery, if I can get back there, submit a topic. As you can see over here, you have the option of submitting any kind of a topic if you felt like it was really worthy. That was just an example, but clearly it's worth the try to put your topic in and see what already is available. And then once you put your topic in, you are then able to use the filters to narrow down your search a little bit more. Make sense? Then we have the activity. This is actually one of the buttons I use the least frequent because, I mean, you might, as a classroom teacher, you may want to see exactly who's using and how often, depends on how comfortable you get with Flipgrid. But here's the fun part. Let's get to the mixtapes. Yay with the mixtapes. The mixtapes is a great way for you to share this information, especially if you want to share some of that work that your students are doing with your families. So you can create basically exactly as I said, like a mixtape. Some of you may hopefully be old enough to know what a mixtape is. And you create like all your best favorite jams, you know what I mean, when you were recording off the radio. And that's how old I am. And then you wanted to play that or give it to somebody that you thought was cute. So that's what I would do. So I would take all of my favorite jams or all of my students that I thought were maybe the ones that I really want to spotlight, or specific students that I, in a particular order, because I can manipulate the order that they come in, and you put it all in one specific space so that when it plays, it just plays in a continuous flow. And there is no break. There is no stop, play the next one, stop, play the next one. They just run straight through. So that is kind of what the mixtape does. So you would take all of the ones, like going back to my discussion board, I'm in my particular topic and I only want to, if I'm looking at the would you rather responses that you all just created, I can go to, I want to put Rita's, Michael's, and Seth in the mixtape. So I would click next to Rita's name is the action button. And I can say, add to mixtape. And so I can either, this is where I can create a mixtape specifically just to highlight those 3 students maybe, or I can add it to one that I've already created. So let's say I would create a mixtape. And this is highlights. It gives you a code. You can create the purpose for that particular mixtape, and then I would hit create. If you wanted to use a password, that's something that you can choose as well. And so now I have Rita's is in a highlights mixtape. And then I can go back and add, and it doesn't take them out of this one. It's just adding them also to another one. So I can add Michelle to my highlights mixtape, and I can add it, Seth to my highlights. Okay, add, got it. So then I have, go back up here and I have my mixtapes. Here are my highlights. And maybe I want to share, but I'm going to show you what it looks like when you play them. You know what I mean? So I would just, once I share it, I have to hit the share or edit the responses, or maybe I want to change the order. I can do that. You can kind of drag them around and move them.
When you edit it, can you literally shorten or cut pieces out of it? Are you editing the video content?
It says you can edit the response. Yes. Good question. So if I only wanted to do a portion of Michelle, because she's chewing her gum and she did not actually answer the response in what she would rather do, I would be able to edit her response so that I could maybe cut it to where she was actually talking. And you can maneuver.
It doesn't look like there's a video editing tool there. It just looks like you can edit the information below.
You're right. The editing actually comes in the shorts.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. And I thought that this one, because I clicked on it and I thought it was going to be able to give me that editing toolbar. Oopsie. So good point. I get confused a little bit sometimes with the mixtapes and the shorts, but let's actually get to that part. But I'm glad we got to see that she didn't actually record anything, but maybe I will take her and then go back to my mixtapes and I have my highlights. And I may want to remove Michelle's from this mixtape because she didn't actually record anything, and having seen that, I can do that. But I could share them in my Google Classroom. As you can see here, you do have that link if you want to, or you can just get the code.
And it's sharing it as one single video, right?
Right, it's one single video that no matter how many you have in here, you can put all of them in there at the same time.
Can you preview what the video looks like with all of them together?
You can. So once you get your code and you play it, it would show you the preview of what they would all look like. And then you also have the shorts. And so I really I wanted to kind of tell you a little bit more about the shorts. Now, the shorts are another tool that you can use similar to Screencastify. I'm not sure if you all are familiar with Screencastify, where you can record your screen. You can use this particular feature to explain directions or steps or give like a lesson overview. It's the same time allotment. You can use up to 10 minutes. So if you're possibly giving a specific directions to a specific group in your class, and you want to make sure that they really understand and that the directions are clear, you can use shorts to kind of create that. But you have the same abilities to add filters or overlay pictures, or use the frames or the emojis. But I like that you can also create and trim. And this is where you are actually able to trim and rearrange your video segments, but this is also where you're actually allowed to upload other videos that you have on your device. And this is the only place that you're actually able to do that in Flipgrid, because the other places where you're doing like a regular flip, it does not actually allow you to upload pre-recorded videos, but the shorts will. Does that make sense? Do you understand? So I can give you a demonstration. So if I was to record a short, you'll get this screen, and I'm not recording yet. That's me. Down here, you have the options, and you can upload. This is where you have the option to upload a clip. So I could find one that may be already on my computer, or maybe if I was using my phone, and upload a clip. And then you have if you wanted to do just the mic only, similar to the Screencastify, or you also want to record your screen. Because there's something specifically you want to show them. Does
it have the possibility of uploading? Does it have to upload from your device, or can it also take like from the other videos already on Flipgrid? Or do you have to download them first and then upload them?
You would have to download them first and then upgrade. Okay. Good question. And then you have like some of the effects that these are also available when you do your other flips, your normal flips that are not in the short. And then this is something that you can display maybe on your Google Classroom for specific directions. I know that Colleen in the main session was discussing some of the different uses for Flipgrid, but I think we really like to stress that you can use this for your English language learners, as well as if you happen to be a teacher of a subject besides one of the core. Like if you're a dance teacher, hey, this would be a great way for you to demonstrate and get your students to demonstrate for you what you've learned in class. Or if there is a way that you want to incorporate some type of visual or movement art into your lesson, and you have this as an opportunity to get your students to demonstrate for you. And I think somebody else also in the main session did say that it is very similar to TikTok. And if you sell it like that, I feel like you get the buy-in, because I'm pretty sure you all know your kids love TikTok. I know mine does. And you don't really have to twist their arm too hard for them to use it or for them to record themselves. And then if you have the opportunity to let the students respond to each other's as a critique, maybe, and a way to that's another way for you to earn, distinguished in your FFT performance, is if you're getting them to talk to one another. They have to kind of type their responses, and you have the ability to filter before publishing so that you can see exactly what it is that they're saying. Did anybody have any specific questions before our time is coming to an end that I can address quickly? I know this
You
was
still have some time, Tracy.
Oh, okay.
She extended the time. Sorry about that. I didn't want to interrupt you.
That's okay. Let's see. Oh, here's GridPal. Go ahead. I have a question. I heard a question. Go ahead.
So with the shorts, is it that it's for the teachers to record their screen for instructions, or the students can record their screen as well?
The way that it is marketed is for teachers to record their screen, possibly to give like a short message to families, friends, or directions, or overview of a lesson. That's how they have marketed. And so that was an excellent question, because it is fairly new to being used. So I'm not 100% sure if from the student view, if they can see or have the ability to do shorts.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions, maybe, possibly? We have the Grid Pals. I think that was up here. Go ahead. I heard a question. 3 minutes? Thanks, Coy. So you can find a grid pile. Like, as you can see, all these plus signs indicate all the different users across the country. You can make it smaller so you can see a little bit more, but you can specifically type in your grade level, and then your subject area as well, and then kind of just see if there's anybody close that may be teaching something that you are teaching, and if they have any posts or any Flipgrids that they've shared. I can't say that I use this one very often, so, but it is here. It's an opportunity, it's here if you need it. For me, the ones that I use the most are just the regular discussion board with the groups and the topics, and then the mixtapes, because I like to be able to choose the different, in my profession, if I have to have somebody make a Flipgrid, there's a lot of people making them, but everybody's can't be shown. So I will pick and choose the ones that are the strongest, or that, capture the message, and create a mixtape so that I can share. But I do always have the entire video of everybody's recording. So I have that. Any other questions for me?
I have a question, Tracy. I guess you could create your own mixtape of you giving moments to your students, right? If you record it, would you have to record it like as a participant though? You know what I mean? Like if a teacher wanted to create mixtapes of, say, if I wanted to create like a study guide, through Flipgrid for my kids or something, would I be able to do that?
Yes, you could. You could do it in two ways. You could do it in shorts, again, where it's just like an overview of the entire lesson and what you want your students to do. But you could also create a series of Flipgrids of yourself giving directions. There's just two ways to get that done. Mm-hmm.
Is there always a maximum of 10 minutes?
Yes, there is always a maximum of 10 minutes. And trust me, when sitting and grading or looking through you don't want them to be longer than 10 minutes. You don't. I mean, if you keep it short and sweet, I feel like you have a little bit more buy-in as well. I don't make mine actually more than 1 minute and 30 seconds, but it depends on the subject and your topic, what it is that you're asking them to do. I believe we are being asked to return to our break, to our main session. So I do appreciate you all joining here in the frequent user.
So we are good. So welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed your exploration time with Betsy in the rising users room and Tracy in the frequent users room. And what better time than now to apply what you've learned today about Flipgrid, flipping the grid, and share your learning from today's session in our big choosy debrief. So take a look, couple things you could do in this Flipgrid. You can tell how the Flipgrid transform or will transform your instruction. What do you plan on trying with Flipgrid in your classroom? What was your aha moment? Something that you found valuable in your breakout session, or just something that you're going to try, and why? So in the chat, one of my colleagues is going to drop the link to another Flipgrid, and you will choose just one of those items to respond to via Flipgrid. All right, so I see the link has dropped. Again, you only have to respond to one of these items. And don't worry when you go into Flipgrid, so don't worry about switching your tabs. Those questions will also be posted in the Flipgrid as well. I want my students to be responsive. Absolutely, yes, Miss Bautista, how are you? Good seeing you again, one of my mentees. Yeah, so they can respond to that wonderful algebra and pre-calculus that you are sharing with them. So now you can see the screen is up for the Flipgrid. The link is in the chat. The code is in the chat. And you are able to now respond. Okay, so we will start now. So we do have a couple responses. Betsy, can you go ahead? Actually, is there anyone who doesn't mind us playing your Flipgrid response? We'll let you share out and then I'll let Betsy choose a few.
I see Ms. Benefeld has her hand raised, so I'll go ahead and share hers first, and then if anyone else wants theirs shared.
All right.
My aha moment was realizing that I can give this to my students and they can turn it in when they get the chance, so that I can hear them and finally hear some of my shyer students that I know have these awesome ideas about different topics, but just don't want to have everybody hear them during class time. So I think that's going to be some fun when I start using this.
Thank you, Michelle. What a great idea. Is there anyone else that doesn't mind? Oh,
we have
Crystal?
someone in the chat.
Yeah, we have questions in the chat.
Crystal.
I will use Flipgrid to enhance my instruction by providing a platform that my ESOL and SPED kids can use for oral responses.
Yes, thank you for sharing. So thinking about those special population of students, they have a safe place to share, and just following up on that first response, it's self-paced. So whenever they're ready, they can go ahead and share, and it doesn't have to be in front of the whole class. Betsy, someone else?
I think I saw
Amari, yeah. And before you press play, well, go ahead.
Nope, it's fine. I paused it.
Okay, before you press play, I want to point out two things. Miss Benefield actually had I don't know if you guys saw the breaking news frame around her video. So please remember that your students can also get creative. And if you have some students who are shy, just like Miss Benefield said, remember they can use emojis to cover their faces if they don't want other students to see them. And Coy or Tracy, you guys can chime in. I think there's also a way where the video can just be privately shown to the instructor and not to the entire class.
So if you set it up for moderation, so the moderator, where it doesn't automatically go up onto the screen like we're having you guys do here, you can set it up so it comes to the teacher first. Yeah. And then the teacher can decide whether they want it to be posted, or you don't have to post any of the response that the students have. If you tell them it's going to be private, it's only going to stay with me.
Awesome. Okay.
And then also, just to let you know that you can add comments to these videos right now. That's how we set it up, that you can add comments and or other videos responding to other students. Okay. But you can also set it up in a different way where they're not allowed to add comments or videos to each other and or likes, because that's another thing. So let's listen to this person though. Right.
Well, I'm planning to use Flipgrid more often, because that way I will be able to hear my students' voices. It will really be helpful for me to assess their pronunciation. So that's great.
All right, yes, thank you for sharing. That's key, and that's speaking, being able to pronounce those words correctly, so you will be able to assess them. And then Betsy, I'm just going into the chat. I see Randy saying he's planning on using Flipgrid in his classroom so that his nonverbal students can participate in the discussion other than using the chat or the whiteboard. Great idea. Laverne says she's going to use Flipgrid to help her students prepare for that ESOL speaking and listening assessment. Great forward thinking, Laverne. You're preparing your students for their assessments. I love it. And we have one more. Trinity, I hope I said that correctly, Ms. Robinson. I will use it in my classroom to help my students talking about a certain topic. Yes, we want our students to do more of the talking, more of the learning. So Flipgrid will allow you to do that. I'm going to pass it on to my colleagues now. Next slide, please.
All right. While you are completing the session evaluation, we also want to talk to you about more professional learning opportunities that we have with Peip 2.0 is actually taking place February the 17th. March 17th, April the 21st, and May the 19th. And if you'd like to know more about Peip 2.0, Coy has already dropped the link to their tiny URL, their website, in the chat box in case you would like to sign up and register for some of their sessions. Also, if you want to come back for another session of Peip Xp, and we hope you do, we hope you found this one beneficial. And if you are a returning mentee, then we would like to tell you thank you for coming back. Our next Peip Xp session is March the 3rd, and we are going to be learning more about Ed Puzzle. And our link is fixed, so you can still listen to me while I tell you about the future dates for Peip Xp. Okay, so the next one is March 3rd with Ed Puzzle as our topic, April the 7th, and May the 5th. We will be closing out this school year. And we also, all right, many thanks. We do hope that you found this Peip Xp session with Flipgrid beneficial for you and your instruction. We'd like to give a special thanks and a special shout out to our mentor, Tracy Brown, for joining us for this session and being our expert for our frequent users. Thank you, Tracy, very much. And again, Betsy Braddock, Colleen Eccles, Coylin Ham, Shanine Brooks, and myself, Katrika Neal,